Hi and welcome to the Regionizer intro video. Today I'm going to be showing you Regionizer, which is an advanced document formatter for C# developers. What you will need. Hopefully you're already familiar with C# because Regionizer is for C# developers. You will need Visual Studio 2010 or Visual Studio 2012 or both. And not required, but hopefully you love regions. What is Regionizer? Regionizer is a free open source project that can be downloaded from regionizer.codeplex.com. Regionizer is a Visual Studio package for C# developers. It's my first package, so I'm learning as we go here. Regionizer is a C# document formatter that was designed to be the cure for spaghetti code. And Regionizer is a code generation and enhancement tool. And finally, Regionizer is perfect for any developer that wants to learn how to manipulate code in the Visual Studio IDE using the Visual Studio Developer Tools environment, aka the DTE. Well, the first step in getting started is to download Regionizer from regionizer.codeplex.com. You can download the source code version, or you can download just the binary from regionizer.vsix file. And when you run that, that'll install Visual Studio in 2010 or Visual Studio 2012 or both. And then the first step is to go ahead and launch Visual Studio. You can use 2010 or 12. I'm going to be using 2012 in this video. I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. So after you install it, the first step is select Tools, Regionizer. And this will launch Regionizer. I dock Regionizer in the same location as the Solution Explorer or the Properties window. Basically, you know, some people put it on the right-hand side. I like it on the left-hand side. It's just my preference, but you can, you know, it works in both. And I'll go ahead and show you. We're going to format a document. I've already shown you how to dock it in the Properties region, so I kind of skipped a step. So we're going to click the Format Document button, and what that's going to do is format the document into the, it's going to regionize it. I purposely made this file about as, sloppy as I could make it, but I've seen code much worse than this. Excuse me, I've got this is about my third take making this video, so I have a couple of things here I need to comment out that I should have copied over before I started the video, but so anyway, bear with me for a second. But basically, they'll just show you this file. It's pretty sloppy. There's methods, properties, all over the place. And now I'm going to format the document, and now you'll notice all the private variables are in the private variables region. The constructor is also, encapsulated in a region. And now you'll notice all the methods are sorted alphabetically. They're formatted and, spaced evenly. So a lot of the white space that was there before is gone. And yes, you can look over here and it will show you the methods of the current region, but I find it's much more valuable to have the code organized so that no matter what the coding style is for each individual team member, it will be consistent for everyone. That's what I created Regionizer for. And now I'm going to show you the format selection. Visual Studio about 2005 had some really cool refactoring tools, and I'm sure everyone has used the generate method stub. But one of the problems I find with that is, Visual Studio tends to put that code right, wherever it feels like. Here again, bear with me, I'm deleting a couple of files that I should have, set up before we made this video, but anyway. So I'm going to show you how to do, generate method stub. Basically, so excuse me, I went to the wrong menu item. But I'm going to So now generate method stub, and notice Visual Studio does create the method, and that saves you a lot of time typing, so I'm all in big favor of that. But I'm in the events region here, and that created a method. So, and then for years I used to do this by hand. I would copy and paste it, and so by clicking format selection, it moves it in there, and it also gives a pretty good method description. It's not perfect, but it takes the capital letters out of your method names, and it separates the words. So you can go there and modify it, but it's not too bad. I probably need to use a dictionary and expand that, but it's a pretty good start. It still saves me a lot of time, and even a few seconds here and there make a big difference in your day. And now I'm going to show you the insert event. Insert event, it's just basically, has a return type of void. It'll, create the object sender and, event args. So it's, just another little thing that if you don't feel like typing it and you need an event for a button click or something else that you know you're going to need, then, and you know, you can use the Visual Studio refactoring tools, but many times I just need to type it in, and especially if you have multiple events to create, sometimes this is faster. So, and it, again gives you the event description. So it's just another little thing to help you. Anything that saves time, that's what we're all about here. And now I'm going to show you the insert method. And that works basically the same as the insert event, except for with a method you do have a return type. So, I'm going to just, simple little method here, I'm going to use a string as my return type. And you'll notice when you, it does stub out the variable name. You can rename the variable if you don't like the one created for you, but many times it gets it pretty close to what you would use. And it does go ahead and give you the initial value there, so that does save you a lot of time. You don't have to, create a, Visual Studio complains if you haven't given it a return type, so that at least stubs out the method for you to save you a little time in compiling. And notice it did insert the method, and it does it alphabetically, so that's, And now I'm going to show you my favorite part. This is the create properties. So this is, you can select multiple private variables at once, click the create properties button, and notice all of the properties are created, they're alphabetically sorted, and that alone, makes your code much easier to read. If you're looking for a property, you know right where to look, the properties region, and if it starts with Z, you're probably going to be at the bottom, same with A at the top. So that's it definitely saves you a lot of time when you're looking for code. Alright, now I'm going to show you the create has property. This is another one of my favorites. The create has property basically just, does a little test. So instead of having to write if this property is greater than 0, which does not work for IntelliSense, you can say has value, and that will, works with IntelliSense, so that saves you, a lot of time. And the create has property also works with strings. So if here we're going to use a string, click create has property, and it'll test for is a string not null or empty. And it also works with objects. With objects you'll get a not equal to null. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. You can use the has property with dates. It's going to default it to a test for null. But what you can also do with the has property with a date is you can modify the year. So instead of testing, dates are always going to exist because they're a structure, but you can give it a year, test for the year being greater than a certain amount or less than or whatever your validation is. But it's just another little trick. The create has property, I find it very useful because it, again, they work with IntelliSense, whereas, anytime you can type, not having to tab over to another word and type it, and it just saves you a little bit every little thing because you do them hundreds of times per week or month. So, and the last few things I'm going to show you, these were some new recent additions to Regionizer. First one is going to be called initial value. That's just you have a method stub and Visual Studio complains that you haven't given a return type. So basically it just creates your variable for you, and I'm not saying any of these, some of these, you can type them almost as fast. Sometimes I get tired of typing. I type all day long, so if I can copy something to my clipboard and, use a tool to create it for me, then it just saves me, a little bit of typing, or gives my fingers a little break from, something I do, all day at work, and then I come home and do it at night and in the mornings, and so that's basically the way. So you just give it your the return type for your value. So you can copy it from your property. Oops, I had the wrong thing on my clipboard. Sorry about that. So let me copy with a little bit more care this time. When I'm recording, my machine is a little bit less responsive, so I'm sorry for the delay here. Alright, then you give it your variable name, and you select where you want to paste it. It does a pretty good job. Sometimes it indents off a little bit, but I need to spend a little bit more time testing, but this is my first package, but it was just something to, get my feet wet with Visual Studio packages. I was always wanted to do this, and this project's been out for about 2 years now, but not many developers are aware of it, so that's why I made this video, to try to help the popularity for Regionizer gains on, because I truly love regions. But alright, and here we're going to do a little simple test for if exist. I'm actually planning on creating a nullable helper to do the same thing, but what this is going to do is just, if you have an object and you want to test does it exist, then you can do a simple little test. Select the object, and it'll do a little, my indent's off here, so again I need to do a little bit more testing, but at least it does create the if block for you and opens the brackets, so gives you a little, just something else if you're, say I'm actually one day want to do a voice operated C# program, so hopefully some of this stuff will help for building that. And the last thing I'm going to show you for Regionizer is the for each loop. What that does is, basically, if you have a collection and you want to iterate, then you would set the data type for the collection, and then you would set the variable name to iterate for the collection name, and then and actually I made a mistake here because I put the collection there when it's supposed to be a singular return type to work, so I haven't used this as much as I should. So again, many times I just type it because I type pretty fast, but this is just another little tool. It's just a test for basically manipulating the Visual Studio IDE. Some of these really help you, some you may find you don't like, but biggest thing I like is the fact that all of your code is consistently formatted. So that's Regionizer. I really appreciate you watching it, and I hope you download it and try it out. Tell your friends about it. I'm going to real quickly show you why we're in here, why we've got about 1 minute left. This is my very first PowerPoint add-in called Automate This. It's a PowerPoint slide, and if you notice in the presentation you were just watching, many of the slides, I had a selected bullet on each slide, and I used to do that by hand, and that's with all my code. The reason I created it is because I needed something to make my day a little easier, and I created this tool, and actually I think it's pretty useful. You can select the selected color and the normal color, and give it one bulleted list, and that's Automate This. That's a story for another video, but thank you for watching Regionizer, and I appreciate you watching.